What if your next big paycheck came from a game you never actually coded? Yeah, you heard that right. No coding, no massive team, just one AI tool and a wild idea. I'm going to show you exactly how to build a fully working mobile game from scratch using AI. Sounds like a scam, right? Well, tell that to the app raking in $600,000 a month doing exactly that. To kick things off, I need to generate my character assets. These are the models I will be using later in the scene. And for making these models, I am going to use the AI called Meshy AI, because it's quick and gives us pretty solid results. For the main character, I am typing in a prompt like soldier in an A pose without a gun. Now that it's ready, I will rig the model and add an animation. You know, just the standard process. Next, I'm going to try my luck on the premium character. And for it, I am using the prompt like a stealth soldier with a neutral standing pose. Next, the same thing is here, just rig it, then add animation. Now, with both characters done, my asset generation step is complete. Next up is the core gameplay, and I aim to build something like Last War Survival, where the character auto-runs forward, shoots automatically, and you can only control the side-to-side movement. That will be the base of my game, and for that, I am gonna use Rosebud AI. To kick things off, I have described that core gameplay idea clearly to Rosebud AI. I have mentioned the auto-running, the auto-shooting, and the limited horizontal control. Now Rosebud will take up the job and mold a starter project. Let me tell you, it is still basic and a bit off from the final goal. But that is okay. It will give me a foundation with forward movement and some auto-shooting behavior, which is much needed for my game. Next, I will refine that base. So let's ask Rosebud to remove the shooting mechanism, and then just make the player shoot forward automatically. I know there is nothing too fancy yet, but now it's updated, and there you go. The game now shoots forward as I was expecting. Now it is time for me to move on to the environment. I'm going to tell Rosebud to replace the current platform with a bridge. Then let's add some water around it and make sure the bridge stretches out. And at this point, player movement still spans 3 lanes, which feels a bit much for me. So I am going to ask Rosebud to limit it to just 2 lanes and make the side-to-side motion smoother. Trust me, this small change will make the gameplay much more responsive. Now I have to clean the environment a little bit. But the bridge kind of looks bare underneath, so let's ask Rosebud to add water below the bridge to give it a little bit more depth. And there it is. Now the core setup is done for me. It's time to clean up the visuals and fine-tune the mechanics to make the game feel more complete. I will start by upgrading the water. The default texture looks a little bit too flat. So let's tell Rosebud to make it more realistic with a little bit more waves. Trust me, these small changes will bring life to the scene. Now I will go ahead with the bridge. Its texture still looks pretty basic, right? I'm gonna make it look like an actual structure with better materials and detail. Now it will blend better with the environment. The obstacles are next, and they could use a bit of style and function. I will ask Rosebud to make them slightly transparent and add design elements like borders at the ends. Now I will make 2 types of them, one with a positive number and one with a negative. The numbers will change as the player shoots at them, which will add a bit more interaction to the gameplay. To make those number changes work, the logic behind the gates needs an update. Instead of breaking immediately when hit, each shot should increase the value of the gate. It only breaks when the player runs into it. Now to top it all off, I am going to ask for something a little bit more vivid for the skybox. Something like a sunset. Doing that changes a lot. Now it sits right with everything else in the scene. Now the next step is to bring in the assets that I have created earlier. I will start by heading over to the assets section and uploading the models that I have generated. These include the character files that will be used in place of the default player. Now that everything is uploaded, it's time to swap out the placeholder character. I am going to replace the current player model with the one labeled regular character.fbx. This is just a visual update for now, and there will be no behavioral changes yet. After the model is in place, it is time for animation. I am using animations that go well with the regular character model. To complete this round of updates, I am setting up a proper main menu. I will add 2 buttons, one to start the game and another for character selection. Once that is added, doesn't it feel much closer to an actual build? Now let's talk about making some money, because what's the point of building a killer game if it can't pay the bills, right? So here's the plan. we're going to lock one of our characters, the premium one called Commander, and only unlock it through a payment or secret code. And that is where Stripe comes in. First, we're heading into the character store setup, and I want that Commander character to scream locked when people see it. Make sure it looks visibly locked in the preview, so that when players click on it, a pop-up appears with an unlock button. It will have an unlock button, and once a person clicks that, I will show two options: enter an activation code or make a purchase. Here I am using the activation code Commander Unlock. Once that code is typed in and submitted, the character becomes available, selectable, and ready for battle. But here's where the money comes in. If they don't have the code, they can just hit the purchase button. And instead of processing payment inside the game, I will just copy a Stripe payment link straight to their clipboard. That way, they get redirected to the payment page where they have to complete the transaction, and once that's done, they can come back and activate with a code. And that's it, super clean. Now it is time for me to make sure that the character they choose shows up in the game. There's nothing more disappointing than unlocking a badass character like Commander, and then starting the game and seeing the default dude. No, I am not letting that slide. First, I am heading over to the character loading system and updating the logic so that it doesn't just load a default model anymore. But if they pick the regular soldier, cool, load him in. If they unlocked Commander and selected him, he's the one who's hitting the field, no excuses. And I have to make sure that the soldiers are not just standing there like a statue. For that, I will loop the proper animation. Now, when a player hits play, their chosen character, premium or not, is the one running into the action. Now that our characters are loading properly, let's supercharge the game with some power-ups. The first one is a gun upgrade. Place the minigun.fbx right in front of a negative gate. I gave it a little adjustment so it fit naturally into the environment, and then I made it rotate slowly to catch the player's eye. When the player shoots that gate enough times, that will trigger the minigun power-up. And just like that, the player's fire rate will double. Now let's make things more interesting through player upgrade. This one's a little different. I took the same character model the player was already using and placed it in front of a gate, just like the minigun. Same deal. It's begging to be collected. And now for the fun part. When the player hits that power-up, I made sure it doesn't just trigger a little sparkle and disappear. It will duplicate the player model. So yeah, after that update, the power-up is officially doing what it's supposed to do. You shoot the gate, it flips to positive, you run through and more units join your crew. Now the power-ups are live. The action feels amazing, and now we're finally stepping into full-on game territory. You didn't just watch a tutorial, you watched the blueprint of how to turn your wild idea into money. You now have the tools to build a full-blown game without code, without a team, and with excuses. Now the real question is, are you gonna sit on it? Let me know in the comments. If you liked the video, do share and subscribe for more videos. Until we met again.